Today, low carb heaven. It's a theme on Zestology for a reason, and that is that the experts keep telling us it's the best way to sort out your vitality levels. This is the podcast all about energy and vitality and motivation. It's the new rules of health on Zestology, and I'm Tony Wrighton, coming to you live, well, not really live, but I'm right now live in central London. And today, looking at everything keto, the pros and cons of the ketogenic diet. That is a diet which is higher in fat and lower in sugar and carbs, and exactly how to do it and how and why it'll give you more energy. Stephanie Person is a Keto Book Author, a speaker, YouTuber and consultant. She's quite hardcore. She doesn't take any prisoners, as you'll find out in today's podcast. She has a huge following online for her ketogenic tips. And she's a little bit hardcore. She's had quite an unusual career path, actually. She's a former pro skateboarder. And I think it's fair to say, and worth pointing out in advance of the podcast, I don't agree with everything she's got to say on this podcast. But that's the case with a lot of guests and a lot of podcasts, isn't it? And I don't just want people who agree with everything that I say on Zestology. So really good to speak to Stephanie. And I do love her approach. And I took a lot from this interview. So coming up, a keto geek out, every keto question that you might have answered, and you might think you're doing it right, but are you? If you want 5 or 10% more energy and vitality in your life, that's the reason that I did this interview. Looking into the ketogenic diet, is it really the answer to our energy problems, and are we doing it right? Because you've got to get it right. Here she is, Stephanie Person on Zestology.
So I used to be a pro skateboarder. I'm from California. I used to be a pro skateboarder. And I used to skate back in the day with Tony Hawk and skated vert ramps. I ended up going over to Europe to tour as a professional skateboarder and lived in various countries. Like I lived in Amsterdam or in Holland. And then I lived in Sweden for almost 11 years. And then everybody started having kids. And I was like, wait, I still want to have fun. So I moved back to the States and was just trucking along. And my mom was diagnosed with a thing called a glioblastoma, which is the most aggressive brain cancer. And with glios, there's less than 1% chance of survival. So when I started researching anything to stop cancer growth, because you kind of get desperate when you get the news if somebody's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I had sort of heard about the ketogenic diet, so I researched more of it, and there was no information, like zero. So I just kind of threw anything I could at her, and she's still alive. It's almost 11 years later. And once, for me to get my mom to do a ketogenic diet, I had to do it with her. So that's when my whole game changed, and I started doing it nearly 11 years ago. And I've been doing it ever since. So the whole kind of growth of me on social media has been based around not skateboarding per se, even though my private Facebook page is Stephanie Person Skater. Everything's become now Stephanie Keto. So I've been doing the ketogenic diet, and I've been teaching people on it since then.
Wow.
If that's like a story.
No, that's a good potted history, because I did not know some of that. So, I've heard many times of the links between the ketogenic diet and cancer. Do you think, so you put your mum on the ketogenic diet there and then when you heard about it, did you? Yes. And do you kind of credit that with having helped her kind of stay alive?
I'm sure it helped her. I don't know at the time if it actually was the actual thing that made her survive a glio, because my brother and I, we did a lot of things. We did a lot of different things. We did vitamin C infusions. We did, we just did a lot of different things. So I'm sure it helped, but I don't know if it was the thing that helped her survive a glio or stop the cancer growth. But today she's not on a ketogenic diet. I couldn't keep her on it. So we don't live in the same area, but I got her through it just enough to still be here in terms of basically when you do a ketogenic diet, especially my version, you have to cut out a lot of junk food, like all of it, essentially. All the standard, even the dirty keto that's out there, everything became grass-fed, free-range, organic, like the most healthy food possible. So that probably attributed as well to her surviving, just cleaning up everything.
Yeah. Well, I know that myself. I've been, keto for over a year now, I think, and probably about a year and a half. And it just means, and actually, I've not been eating gluten for about 5 years. And it just means that when the cakes come into the office or when the treats get handed out, you're pretty much ruled out of the game from the start, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, there's a big, huge sort of debate right now on what is keto. Is there a classic keto? If there's a modified keto? And for me, there's only one version of keto. Here's the thing, a lot of people don't understand. You actually have to go through a physiology to adapt and use ketone bodies in your cells. So people will do the dietary measure and not really understand, like it's not just, okay, I'm going to cut out the gluten. I'm going to cut out the carbs. I'm going to cut out the sugar. I'm going to up the fat a little bit. And then I'm doing keto. So my whole thing is about not just like cancer, but anything that's autoimmune, anything that's health related. And I mean, everything that's health related, keto can help or fix. So to actually get to that level, you have to do a really strict version of it to ensure that you're not making yourself sick doing a ketogenic protocol. Otherwise, you're kind of just dieting. So I hope that you're doing a cleaner version of it.
Yeah. Do you know that is interesting because I suppose when I first started doing it, I was pretty strict. And more recently, I thought, you know what? I think I might do it during the week and not at weekends. And it seems to be working all right, but I must admit I haven't been having such good results because I know on a Monday morning it's harder to get back into that into keto mode, if you know what I mean. It sounds to me like you don't like the idea of keto during the week and not at weekends, or kind of modified approaches like that.
Well, there's no such thing. It's absolute nonsense, to be honest. You are either, and we have to rephrase the terms. So because I lived in Sweden for a long time, so you're either they call it low carb, high fat, and I love that because that's what you're actually doing. You're not actually doing a ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet is hitting your fats to a certain level, certain gram mark, and actually going through a biological reaction, a physiological reaction. And constantly refeeding just puts you at a low carb, high fat. That means that your body is still dependent on sugar, and that's it. It's not dependent on ketones. You can make them, but you won't use them. They'll end up in the toilet. So that's where I'm trying to kind of put my foot down on this topic, because a lot of people become sick doing a ketogenic protocol because they hear the word and then they just drop their carbs. They don't adapt, and then it starts affecting their thyroid and their adrenal glands exponentially.
Yeah, it certainly took a while for me to kind of get into the right mode. But how would you say? Because if I measure my ketones now, I reckon it would, my level would be, my blood ketosis level would be at, 1.1, 1.2 or something like that, maybe a little bit more. And I had loads of carbs yesterday.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. So the thing is that you can make ketones but not use them. And that's what people don't understand, especially if your glucose, I don't know if you're using millimolars or milligram per deciliter to measure your blood sugar, but if you have blood sugar 90 something, or if you have in millimolars, if you have it like a 5.1 or 5.2, that will cancel out the viability of ketones. So this makes sense, right? The brain can't consistently use both modes of gasoline to drive a car. It has to choose a preferable one that's going to be more efficient. Well, glucose is like rocket fuel. It's not good to be on a rocket fuel all the time, but your body will choose it over ketones because it's what your brain is used to. Your brain is addicted to glucose. And so if your blood sugar is too high, no one has to be on a ketogenic diet whatsoever to make ketones. Everyone is by human design, able to make ketones. You just won't use them. Yeah, and a 1.0 is not high enough anyway. So it's not only
Well, that is me told. Why is it not high enough?
Because your ketones have to reach a sweet spot. Not only do your blood ketones have to reach a sweet spot, then your body has to absorb them. For example, a lot of people will have low thyroid symptoms, which will be shedding of the hair, cold hands and feet, constipation, dry skin, eyebrows starting to shorten on the inside, tired, can't lose weight. And they'll go do a full thyroid panel, and the endocrinologist will say, you're completely normal. And they're like, but doctor, I have all these symptoms. And the problem with modern medicine is they only really can see 2% of the body. They can see what's in the blood, but they can't see what's in the blood is going into the cell. So you can make ketones and not use them at all. And that's a problem. That's the reason why somebody who's a total carb burner can go not eat just for 6 hours, not even have high fat anything, just not eat for 6 hours and produce a 1.1 ketone, and then it'll just end up in the toilet and not be used.
Okay, so you might be producing them, but the body's not actually using them to give you that incredible feeling of energy you get when it's kind of all working well.
Exactly. And I coach so many people. It's been thousands of people now over the years. And it is absolutely a clear sign that you can sit and produce these numbers, but have your hair fall out, have inverted cortisol. Your adrenals are just not pumping out cortisol in the morning. You start to gain weight with those numbers, right? You start to feel hypoglycemic and shaky with perfect numbers. So we have to look deeper. That's what my whole thing is about.
Yeah. And then just kind of, so how you've been fully ketogenic for quite a lot of years then?
A decade, over almost 11 years. And I can't stand when people are like, I've done it 15 years. I'm like, no, you haven't. Because if you've refed, if you've had alcohol, if you've done anything to spike your glucose, you can't say you've done it for 15 years. You've got to say I've done it off and on. So I've literally not eaten anything over, let's say, a bowl and a half of broccoli worth of carbs in almost 11 years.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you're the most hardcore ketoer I've ever spoken to.
That's right. That is correct.
So refeeding, you're not happy with it. You don't like the Tim Ferriss cheat day. You're just not interested.
It's obsolete. It's nonsense. And he's a very intelligent person, but unless you work with thousands of people, it's anecdotal. You're just guessing, right? It's just guessing. If you're a young, fit male and you refeed and you don't have a hypoglycemic rebound, what about everybody else who's not as fit as you are? That's not what happens in the real world. So when you refeed, you're confusing the brain. The brain's like, pick a side, because it doesn't take weeks to adapt. It takes months.
Yeah.
And once you introduce back a high glycemic carbohydrate or sugar into the bloodstream, the brain diverts right back to what it knows, that super addiction to the glucose. So
Okay.
with that, yeah. So if you refeed, your blood sugar becomes instantly unstable. It goes boing, 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 boing. It's like boink, 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 boink. And people start feeling horrible refeeding. They feel great, especially if you do high glycemic carbohydrates. If you do like a low carb, high fat refeed because you're trying to protect your thyroid because you're hemorrhaging your hair and all this stuff, that's another thing. If you refeed back onto like a cake or alcohol or anything, that a bread sandwich, anything, bowl of rice, it's a wrap. Glass of orange juice, sweet fruits, your blood sugar will instantly, like the first day, you'll be like, woo, look at all the energy I have, because you weren't adapting. That's why people refeed. Why would you refeed if you've got like 20,000 health benefits of being ketotic, and then you're going to eat carbs? So typically people eat carbs because they're not actually adapting and their energy isn't high enough. So they start craving those carbs. That's why people refeed, you see? So they refeed back onto high glycemic carbohydrates. And then the first day they're like, oh, I feel great, because their glycogen storage is in the muscle. That's the gasoline tank is in your muscle, and it's fueled back up. And then as soon as it goes back down again, when you haven't eaten in a couple of hours, boom, now you start to feel really terrible. And that's the stuff that people don't talk about with refeeding and fasting and all this kind of stuff.
So What do you think of, say, something like the Bulletproof Diet, a kind of a low carb, high fat diet? What do you think of that because a lot of people listening to this thinking, yeah, great, keto, I'm really down with it, but it's just so hard.
It's hard because people are misinformed. When it comes to the Bulletproof coffee, that's garbage. When it comes to Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Diet, he's got some good stuff in there. Dave Asprey is a very smart guy. When he first came out with this coffee nonsense, I was like, not liking it because, when people are like, what's wrong? Like, what's so wrong with coffee? I don't understand. Like, it's so ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, the first thing I say is there's like all these different things about coffee that you would never think about because you have like coffee is like gas and oil. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business. Trust me, these companies are going to protect it, pump a lot of stuff on the internet, tell you how great it is. But there are some people who just can't tolerate it. Their hypoglycemia is so bad that they drink coffee and they feel terrible. Or they've got issues with the secretory IgA mucus lining in their pipes, their stomach, their intestine. They drink coffee, they get a stomach ache. So these are the quite obvious ones, right? But then if you dig deeper, then you have to think people who are vitamin D deficient. And then they drink coffee, which is a diuretic, and they can't hold on to their B complex, their B12, or their vitamin D, or zinc, which affects the thyroid, these coffee drinkers. And then you have to think the acidity to the blood, right? So people have too much omega-6 in their diet, and then they drink coffee. That's not giving you any benefit. Then coffee is roasted, and then that kills most of the antioxidants. More than half of the antioxidants are killed in the roasting process. So the whole antioxidant benefit is not as high. Then there's the fact that people are not drinking organic mycotoxin-free coffee. They're drinking coffee that has, so coffee is, bugs love the coffee bean. They'll go and attack it and obliterate it. That's what insects do. And so we've got to go and put glyphosate on it, which is the most toxic.
Oh, well, that's terrible. Yeah. Well,
this is what people are drinking. Like, we don't think about what we stick in our mouth. We just hear it on the internet and then we stick it in our mouth and then people are sick and they're like, they just completely don't make connections to their coffee. So the only way that I can kind of like trip up their mind is go, would you give it to a little baby? And they're like, well, no. And I was like, well, why not? And they're like, every time, no answer. So the coffee part is nonsense. It actually makes you more, it makes you adapt less to do like a bulletproof, intermittent fasted, ketogenic nonsense. So if you, it's just crap, just uselessness. So the thing about me is like, I don't say things nice. I mean, I was on the Dr. Oz show here in the States and I was very nice, but if I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to tell you right now.
I'm glad that you feel you can open up to me. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing about bulletproof coffee is, if you're going to be intermittent fasting, is that don't think that you're still fasting if you're having a bulletproof coffee. But there's a certain mild elevation of ketones, and it's a good way to fill you up with loads of fat and no carbs. So I think that can be fair enough.
That's not true. That's not true at all. I don't know what science you got that from. Oh, no. Coffee.
From the science book of Tony Wrighton.
That's garbage. That's anecdotal. Come on. No. That's the thing. Like, the ketogenic diet hasn't been around long enough for people to do all type of med studies and peer review and observational studies. It just hasn't. So anything that you hear is based on somebody's anecdotal, reading somebody else's research paper, somebody else's book, but it's not something that they've experienced with tons of people. So if you drink coffee, you have to just think about the complete science of it. Caffeine tells your adrenal glands, which are the size of green peas, to produce adrenaline. If you understand the biology of your adrenal glands, you'll understand that your adrenal glands are designed for a couple of things. But primarily, they are your fight or flight emergency gas tank. So that should only be used in an emergency. So if you almost get hit by a car and you want to run out of the way, the adrenal glands will release adrenaline. Yeah. That will save you. The reason why people are so tired all the time is because they're having adrenal insufficiencies. So caffeine stimulates the adrenal glands to pump out more adrenaline. That's forcing your body to pump out energy it doesn't have. That is coupled with cortisol. Cortisol is known as the fat-storing hormone. Cortisol is known in excess as a catabolic hormone that breaks down your body. For example, it can break down your reproductive hormonal system. So too much cortisol goes to your whole reproductive tree there's a concept called pregnenolone steal. Cortisol will rob from pregnenolone, then go to your DHEA. How many people do I consult with that have low DHEA, or their estrogen is high and men's testosterone is too low? So I don't know where you think that cortisol essentially breaks down. Okay, cortisol. Okay.
So you're not having any caffeine. There's no caffeine. There's no coffee for you.
No. Like caffeine stimulates the adrenal glands to produce sugar through gluconeogenesis. Cortisol breaks down protein in the body, converts it into sugar so you can run real fast. And it can do this in minutes. So something that's going to break down your muscle, which is catabolic, and raise your blood sugar does not raise ketones. That is not true. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. So no one should drink coffee ever.
What about, I know something that you do talk about is keto and supplements. How much do you supplement? And I've got a feeling, based on the previous conversation that we've been having, you've got strong opinions on it.
Okay, so I don't actually promote supplements. I try to go as low as possible. Because your body is its own pharmacy. It knows how to extract food. And if you have issues with vitamin A, for example, or retinol or whatever, or vitamin A tends to be something that people might be sensitive to, your body will extract what it needs out of a food and then dump the rest. When you're taking supplemental vitamin A and you have a sensitivity to it, now you've opened up your body to adverse reactions. Then you have to think about the chelating factor, which is they have to use chemicals to activate these compounds to get in your body more easily. So that's why you've got to be really careful. That's why you can go online and see the debate, like, are supplements just expensive pee? Can they help you? Can they hurt you? And so what I try to do is, instead of trying to go for a pill to fix something, is to go all the way down the rabbit's hole and try to figure out where the problem first started. Because if you can find out where the problem first started, you can just eliminate that, fix it, instead of reaching for, let's say, UTIs, right? There's all types of things that you can do for a urinary tract infection. You can take Dimanos, which is a great supplement, or you can figure out what's giving you the UTIs. Let's try to figure out, like, if you're not having clean sex, for example, or somebody's got their fingers up in you, you might want to go and switch that up. Or if you have chronic UTIs, try to figure out what's giving you chronic UTIs, which is connected to kidney problems. Fix that, and then you don't have to take the supplement all the time. So that's the only supplement that I highly, highly recommend on a ketogenic protocol is magnesium, because the kidneys in the beginning of doing keto will dump a lot of water. With a lot of water dumpage, you lose a lot of electrolytes. So for every 1 gram of a carbohydrate that you eat, carbs make you store water. That's why they're called carbohydrate, hydration of the cell. So sometimes we're too puffy, we're holding on to too much water, but that water in our cells makes us hold on to our electrolytes. So you dump your electrolytes, you feel awful, you go through the keto flu, and you're going to need that magnesium. So that's the only thing that I suggest exogenous which is outside the body to the inside, is magnesium.
No,
That's it.
Certainly dehydration, even on a low carb diet, I struggle with it quite a lot. What about potassium?
Yeah, you can get potassium from plants. So we got to be careful with that too, because a lot of people have allergies. But if you don't have a histamine response to spinach, that's the best form. Boiled spinach is the best form for your potassium. That and avocado, if you don't have any type of latex allergy, should stop that heart palpitations you're having from low potassium.
Yeah. Now, of all the things that we've talked about, I've got a feeling what I'm going to say next is going to horrify you more than anything. And that is, Stephanie, what do you think of e-skateboards?
Oh, it doesn't horrify me.
Because I really want to get one. I just think they look awesome. Have you been using them? Do you have one yourself?
Oh, no, I don't have an e-skateboard now. I just have a standard skateboard. I mean, people use e-skateboards, electric skateboards, for transportation. They're not using them to do, like, a kick flip onto a curb or something, or Smith grind onto a curb with an e-skateboard. So that's fine. I mean, people are using longboards, and they would switch from longboards to these electric skateboards. I mean, that's fine. I don't really, it's the same. They're not skateboarders, they're just people, like here in the States, in California, we've got these bird, the scooters, the electric scooters. They're friggin' everywhere. They're like almost a nuisance. So I'm so used to electric transportation. I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I heard that people just leave the scooters. They can leave them anywhere they like.
Yeah, it's a nuisance. And people get pissed because these young people normally on these electric scooters, they go real fast. They weave in and out of traffic. They just dump them in the middle of the sidewalk. So you're walking down the sidewalk and there's a scooter just blocking the sidewalk. People get pissed. They take it and they see a trash can. They throw it in the trash can, or they jump on them, break them, and they really get pissed. Yeah. They're a nuisance, these people.
So, I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you've had a very unusual career path compared to most people, and you've kind of gone from skateboarding to keto. How big a role in your life is skateboarding now in your professional life?
I think it has everything to do, because I think it was the foundation of who I am today. I mean, I was skateboarding. I mean, I'm 51, so I was skateboarding back in the 80s with Tony Hawk and all these types of people know Tony Hawk. They don't know all the other people, but I was skateboarding, and I actually went to Europe when I was 19, and it was an amazing experience that I could just tour all around Europe. There was this sort of community to skateboarding, like a subculture. And I was really shy back in the day. And it sort of kind of built the person I am today as far as being like unconventional. Like, I do not dress, look, act anything like somebody who's been through the corporate, grinding thing. And I think it has everything to do with I was a pro skateboarder. I busted my knee. I've had 10 surgeries on my left knee. I used to live in Sweden, had all the surgeries done in Sweden. I can't run, jump, or run out of a burning building. My leg is completely destroyed. I broke everything in my joint. And yeah, I can still skate like a mini ramp. I've tried skating vert, but I've lost flexion and extension of the knee. So when it comes to knee sliding, or I can't run out of a bale, as we say, but to take that whole young life and be an athlete and be creative mind, and skaters were always like alternative thinkers, and then it easily transformed into me working out. So I'm at the best physical shape of my life with a busted leg. So you find other ways, unconventional ways to kind of stay just on that level of euphoria of living life to its fullest. And then when I got into keto, I just kind of do the same thing that I did with skateboarding. So it may not seem like there's a connection, but there's a huge connection.
Yeah, no, it does seem like there's a connection. And it's really interesting. So you said you've done some TV shows, and I mean, because my day job is I'm a TV presenter here in the UK, and it's such a different medium, isn't it? When we interview someone on TV, it'll be kind of 4 or 5 minutes. There's 3 questions max. You've kind of got to ask what the producers tell you, and then you do a podcast, you can go into things for an hour. How much have you been able to get across your message? Because it's quite different from your average keto message when you've done these high-profile TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the producer for the Dr. Oz show for a long time, and their belief is by what all of the ridiculousness you hear on the internet. And if you actually just kind of Google keto, you'll see people now doing videos like my ketogenic journey, why I stopped doing it, why ketogenic diet cannot be done for the long term. And so when you're doing these shows, they're doing the version of keto that often can, they're just learning. Let's just put it this way, not to say anything negative, but they don't really, a lot of people don't understand how does this thing work. That's why I speak so strongly of it. You've been doing this for 11 years, coaching. How I started coaching people was I used to personal train people. So I decided to do a 2-year study with 8 people, straight on lockdown study. And with those results, that's when I started vlogging about it on the internet. So this is years ago. And no one was barren sand, Sahara. Nothing was on the internet about keto. There was just a few people. So now it's become a trend. And when you take these shows, these big shows, They're just seeing what's out there, like have cheese and have nuts and have caffeine. And people don't realize people have got casein allergies and all these types of sensitivities to certain foods and the quality of the food. And then I come up on board. I can't just go and say all this stuff. There's no way. There is no way. So what we came to the conclusion was we talked about macros, which is safe. It's like how would you measure, let's say, 75 grams in weight? What's that going to look like? And then I said something as simple as, take 3 fingers. That's the amount if you place it over cooked protein, if I'm using protein as an example. Yeah. And then the thickness could be like the palm of your hand. So there was no controversy or controversy or however you guys say it over there. There was no problem with that because I was just kind of going over simple measurements. And they called my version a modified version. Like they actually gave me that credit to say, oh, Stephanie does her version like this with her clients, and this is what works for her. And I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. They're like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. So it worked out in that context. And I've only done the one big show. Okay. So yeah, so I'm probably going to do more, and hopefully they'll allow me to kind of push that line. Because now now that people are putting out videos that keto can harm you, then that's when Stephanie is perfect to come in and go, here's how it can help you and not harm you. And if you're having chronic problems on keto, what's the solution? So, because I have all the solutions because I've worked with over 2,000 people now. So I definitely know how to help people adapt in a safe way without hurting themselves, because with 100%, if you do this ketogenic diet the wrong way, you can hurt yourself. 100%. So that's the question with the shows I'm trying to get out there more, to be able to say what it really is, and to put more preface on. If you're metabolically strong, if you're healthy, essentially, you're going to adapt faster. If you come in with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, low testosterone, skin issues, gut issues, IBS, Crohn's, like just a mess, can't sleep, can't gain muscle, get super tired, can't sleep at night, wake up a million times, prostate's growing, estrogen. If you have all these issues and you go on the internet and just start following what you see, you'll probably get sick off of keto. You'll just probably get sick. So what do you do to avoid all of that? And so what I'm hoping is that I'll be able to go in there and sort of not be as pedantic and sanctimonious as I sound right now. I'm sorry to sound this way.
You sound passionate.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I've done so many podcasts. It's like, okay, people are asking me questions. How do I just say it? Like, let's just get to the point. No, that's garbage. Instead of saying, well, I don't know if that's really good for you. Maybe not the best thing. I'm like, okay, if I want to leave the strongest impression, just say exactly what you think. So that's the reason why I sound like so like blunt. But
passion is good.
Yes.
Now, listen, something I've asked everyone. What is one book you would recommend and one tip, I wonder if it's going to be keto related, for living with more energy?
Everything is keto related that I practice, but I'll explain that. The one book that I would recommend is the book that I'm writing. So there you go. Okay.
Well, where can we buy it? What is it called?
No, I'm not done writing it yet, so I can't say the name because, all the copyright stuff. But it is the book that I'm writing that'll include everything that I've been talking about. The second book that I would recommend, which is not 100% a keto book, which is Nora Gagaudis. Her book is called Primal Body, Primal Mind. It's the only book that I've ever recommended for years and years and years and years and years, because she kind of explains the body. Like, people don't understand that the body, we're still animals. The body thinks we're living outside. It doesn't know that we're living inside and there's food in the refrigerator. It just doesn't understand that concept. And so when you are exposed to like your television and cell phone and false light at night, your brain is thinking it's 2:00 in the afternoon. And so because your hormones are on a timer, completely connected to the circadian rhythm day-night cycle. So she'll go into that and go into the digestive system. So when you I think anyone who does keto should understand simple physiology, because then when you start doing things like, why do I have a rash? Oh, you have candida die-off. What is candida? It's like those things you need to understand. Oh, why am I so tired? Why can't I poop on keto? Oh, because you dumped water too quickly and you lost magnesium. Magnesium helps the peristalsis and the squeezing of your pipes so you can poop. When it comes to the energy thing, so I'm like the keto, people coin me as a keto queen, but I really feel like I'm just the, like, let's not lose our mind queen. Like, we don't have to get old as we're getting older queen. I feel like energy comes down to not losing your youth and who you once were. So since I'm 51, like, I go to the gym, I'm always around millennials. I'm like, come on, you're not tired, are you? Let's do another round of pull-ups, guys. And all the time. So when I work out, like, I just really work out with millennial guys, and they're low on energy. And then I understand why they're low on energy. And a lot of them stay up too late. That's when the body repairs itself. They don't get enough deep REM cycles of sleep. And so when I think like a young person or younger person is like really excited about life, what's around the corner, how do you have that mental energy, right? Not just the physical energy. Let's do this. Let's go. Not like, I just really want to move somewhere quiet and just have some peace, which I love. But I think that life should be like an ebb and flow, and you should still have that thirst and that drive for the unknown.
That is it for Zestology. I've moved from Tanner Street Park and I'm walking down Bermondsey Street now, which is where I live, although not for very much longer. As always, thank you so much for listening. Loads more information at tonywrighton.com. The Zestology podcast and all the former ones are there. And indeed, as well as all the former podcasts, now there's a Zestology blog as well, with loads of stuff that I kind of notice on my energy and vitality travels, because that's what this podcast is really. It's kind of my journey towards more energy and vitality, and I've been posting a few blogs recently on there as well, a few graphs from my Oura Ring app, and a couple of articles that I found good, podcasts that I've enjoyed, gadgets that have benefited me, and supplements that make me feel good as well. So that's tonywrighton.com, and there's a tonywrighton.com/hacks page as well, which you might find quite useful too, and the newsletter and loads of other stuff. It's all there. tonywrighton.com. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Stephanie. Have a good week, nice and energized, full of zest, and I'll see you soon.